What up, y'all? Happy Thursday. It's your girl, UC Kayla. Welcome back to UC Kayla TV. Or if it's your first time, welcome to UC Kayla TV. Today, I am doing a review of last night's episode of Sistas. This was season 4, episode 14, entitled Money is King. If you see me looking over and you're new here, I'm looking at my notes. Before we get into the review, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like, comment, and share if you like the content, because I want to do it for people who want it. So let's get into it, y'all. This week was better. If you watched my video last week, I kind of went on a little mini rant. I have to apologize for that, but it's just like the disappointment and the dragging of the show. I just could not fake it. Y'all, I'm not going to get that fakeness from me on this channel. I don't care who it is. It is what it is. But this week was a little better. So the synopsis of this episode, Money is King, was Hayden's mischievous ways pushes Fatima to a breaking point. First of all, after watching the episode, the synopsis made no sense. So now I don't have any faith in the other synopsis. Is that really going to be what the episode is about? Because Fatima was in jail this episode based off something she had already done. Like, this made you feel like she was going to do something or something new happened. If anything, Hayden's mischievous ways pushed Zach to a breaking point. But we'll get into that. So I did a scene-by-scene breakdown for this, guys. There were 11 scenes this week, so I'm going to try to get through as quickly as possible. So we start off scene 1. It picks up where episode 13 left off. We're in the doctor's office with Karen and Aaron. And Karen allows Aaron to come back in the room. And she actually shares the news of how far along her pregnancy was. Surprisingly, she just tells him the truth right off the bat, that she's barely 4 weeks and his timeline could be correct or it could still be Zach's. Aaron tries to pretend like he isn't happy, while Karen is sad/mad that she was wrong about Zach being the only possible father. She asks Aaron for space to try and process all of this, and she continues to be unwelcoming of Aaron's support, or actually of any of his input at that point. And she conditionally accepts his offer to drive her back to work as long as they didn't speak. So my opinion of the scene, Karen is indeed ungrateful because follow me on Twitter at thatgirlKaylaD. I live tweet during the show, but a lot of tweets I was reading were focused on how ungrateful Karen is, and she is indeed ungrateful. But Aaron is also continually putting himself out there to be rejected, and he is being very pushy. And he's not giving Karen space to work through this. Like, if she's asking you for space to work through it. Now, I think this was season 3, the end of season 3. She was like, give me space, but I want you to be there. But she was doing the teeter-totter thing. This, in the last couple of episodes, she's been very clear with him that she needs space to process this. So Karen won't hear no from Zach, and Aaron won't hear no from Karen. They honestly deserve each other. And the dialogue, it was just exhausting to see Aaron continue to like almost beg to be in the picture. And it was just like, boy, get your life. And then I felt like Karen was kind of overreacting. So I'm going to say this. The only person who felt like that it was 1,000,000% Zach, no way, no other possibility, was Karen. Zach didn't feel that way. Aaron didn't feel that way. So the fact that she's acting like this is just so overwhelmingly devastated, like Zach wouldn't understand if she has to come to him and say, hey, I'm sorry, it's not your baby. Or Aaron won't understand if she has to say to him, hey, I'm sorry, it is Zach's baby. Like, Aaron has said he's going to be there. Zach has said he's not going to be there, but he'll be there for the baby. So it's just like, if you feel bad about this, just say, I'm going through it. I feel bad about the news. I'm disappointed in myself, but stop trying to make it seem like it's such a big thing for the other parties, because the only person that's really pressed and stressed is you. However, I'm going to give Karen some grace because I'm pretty sure she did not plan on things happening like this. And I've never been pregnant and not known who the father of my child was. So I'll give her some grace for that. But I mean, I want Karen to give herself permission to be happy. And if that's with Aaron, great. And understanding that it's not going to be with Zach. That's the ultimate thing that I want for her character. Moving on. Scene 2, we're at the airport. Danny is at work. Y'all know Danny don't be working at work. And this scene, she spends on the phone first with Preston, then with Sabrina. Preston calls Danny and asks her to put his remaining things that are left at her house outside of the apartment, and insists that he doesn't want her to be there when he comes by, so he'll come the next morning because he has a date that night. you know, probably trying to make her jealous, and he'll come at 11 since she has to be to work at 10. Then Danni was like, whatever. She hangs up the phone with him, annoyed, calls Sabrina, because she noticed that Preston is doing things that Zach used to do, and he said a phrase, something like he's cool on all that or something like that, that Zach would say. So she calls Sabrina, it's like, hey, I need Zach's address. Sabrina pretends like she's so professional, she would never give out confidential information, even though she told all of them Zach's bank account balance, but okay. And Sabrina ends up telling Danni in like a roundabout way what the address was. But did anybody notice, I'm about to give my opinion, but did anybody notice that Sabrina was like, it's like 155, and then she said it was something street. I forgot the name of the street she said it was, but that was not the name of the street that they had said it was in season 3. Remember when in season 3, I think it was like episode 14, Zach was giving Fatima the address to the apartment, to the like the double condo or double townhouse thing, whatever, when he was thinking about buying it. And I could have sworn he said Wilcox Street. In this last episode, y'all tell me in the comments what Sabrina said, because I can't remember, but she did not say Wilcox Street. So I'm like, come on, Tyler Perry, like, you can't even respect us enough to use the same address for the same place. Anyway, so my opinion of the scene as a whole, Preston is full of crap, and he needs to leave the childish let's play games advice that Zach gave him in the trash, where Zach dumped it once he met Fatima. Like, Zach's not even using that anymore. Why are you using it? Sabrina is also full of crap, like I said, acting like she can't disclose anything when she's been doing that. So anyway, and Danni at this point, I don't feel like Danni is wrong for wanting to talk to Zach, because they did have a friendship, with both of them working together. Moving on, scene number 3, we're at the jail holding room with Andi and Fatima. Excuse me, y'all gonna have to bear with me today. This is flavored water, but I gotta drink while I talk. Andi comes to speak to Fatima, basically to tell her, hey, this judge that Hayden is in cahoots with is unwilling to budge. She's not gonna change her mind. At this point, you don't have bail set. Fatima's upset. She's fuming about how Hayden has basically wrecked her and Zach's life over a one-night stand. She also lets Andi also lets Fatima know that she might be able to get some help from Robin, or at least just file a motion and get the judge off that case. But she was like, the judge is pretty much sit together. So we'll see. Regardless, Andi is promising Fatima, like, hey, you've done so much for me, I've got to get you out of here. So it was good to see, in my opinion, Andi stand up for Fatima and not run her business back to Karen. I am still, though, proud of Fatima for not telling Andi the details of Zach's last arrest, because even though her and Andi have this new budding friendship, Fatima ain't no fool. And, she know how to hold her man down, and she did that in that situation. Andi's been loyal to Fatima, but I don't think Andi's loyalty runs that deep with Fatima at this point over her established relationship with Karen. All right, scene number 4, we're at Karen's salon. Karen and Aaron, they pull up in Aaron's car. Aaron tries to break the silence, and Karen basically cuts him off and starts her pity party up again, blaming herself for the whole situation. She makes it clear that she still wants space, and Aaron kind of acknowledges it, but kind of doesn't. Y'all know how he does, what I'm trying to say. My opinion of the scene, I'm over it, because they repeated like literally this same dialogue like a couple times. I know I'm not tripping, maybe not word for word, but in the same context or whatever, they've said this before. So I'm not going to get into this again. I don't want to be redundant, because Tyler Perry's being redundant. All right, so part 2 of scene 4, we go into the salon with Karen, and Pam is in there waiting on her. She tells Pam tells Karen that she had to like reschedule 2 clients, and they're upset, and Karen's like, okay, I'll apologize. Then Pam immediately gets into how'd it go or whatever for the doctor's appointment, insinuating that she knew about that. Trying to show concern, but Karen's not going for it and goes off on Pam. My opinion of the scene, I didn't feel that Karen's reaction to Pam was warranted this time. Now, there have been other times that Pam might have deserved that reaction, but for this time, I didn't feel that it was warranted. It might be the hormones or her just being overwhelmed, and Aaron just got done getting on her nerves about it, and she's tired of talking about it. But I didn't feel Pam deserved that, but oh well, it is what it is. All right, scene number 5, we're at Gary's office. He's on the phone with Hayden, and then Jake is going to later come in. Gary calls Hayden to keep tabs on Robin. He doesn't get any real info. He actually ends up spilling the tea to Hayden about Andi and Robin. Hayden does tell Gary that he had Fatima arrested before they get off the phone. And I guess Jake was eavesdropping at the door and heard Gary say Fatima, because he comes in, it's like, Fatima. Gary tells Jake, you know, Hayden just said he had Fatima arrested. He's like, does Zach know? They didn't know. They go past that and get into talk about Zach's portfolio. And Jake tells Gary, and we get to see Jake being a good friend, that Zach looks clean. He knows about stocks. He seems very knowledgeable, and insinuates that maybe the SEC won't come after Zach. So something tells me, you know, there might be something up Jake's sleeve. And then he calls Zach after he's done with Gary and leaves him a message to call him back. So in my opinion of the scene, go Jake. You know, he held Zach now as a true friend. He didn't rat him out, and he also gave him the information to be knowledgeable and did not, you know, let Gary know that at all. My only problem with Jake is he does not act on information fast enough, just like he did before when Zach asked him to call Fatima and he never called her. It's like Tyler Perry be having them call each other and not seeing text messages like it's not 2022. Like, he gonna call Zach talking about, call me back when you get this message. Sir, you could have sent him a text and was like, hey, Fatima in jail, Hayden had her arrested. Like, whatever. That's my only thing with Jake. It's like Tyler Perry be having him sitting on information, and by the time the people actually find out, he's not done that much to resolve it. Granted, he did help Zach get out of jail, but he did not help Zach in regards to Fatima. All right, scene number 6. We're at the law firm with Hayden and Andi. Hayden confronts Andi, basically because he's bitter about Fatima, even though he had Fatima arrested. He tells Andi the partners are about to have a meeting about getting Fatima fired. And Andi tells Hayden, like, that's not going to happen. If she's fired, I'm walking. And Hayden's like, I have a restraining order on her. And it's like, at the end of the day, honey, money is king. And I bring a lot of dollars to this firm, boo, and you don't. Hayden really couldn't say anything about that because money talks and everything else walks. But then he tried to throw a little shade, and by revealing to Andi that he may know something about she and Robin. And Andi did not let that faze her. She was like, okay, well, if you feel like you know that, then you might want to leave me alone. Andi checked him, and Hayden still probably felt like he had an advantage based off of how he was looking at the end of the scene. So, bless his heart. My opinion, you better read him, Miss Andi girl. You did that. This is the Andi that I like to see, when Andi be bossed up, when she be handling business, not the Andi that be crying about Gary every 5 scenes. Like, I was here for it. And also, I feel like it's going to be funny to see Hayden realize how wrong he is about Robin, because at this point he doesn't know that Robin is not just another attorney that works for the firm in the London office. So this is going to be real cute to see unravel, if we don't have to wait 2 seasons for it to actually unravel. Tyler Perry, wink, wink. And also, it's going to be very ironic how the things that Gary and Hayden, because they're in cahoots, right? But the things that they think that they have as an advantage on people are ultimately going to end up being their downfall for both of them. It's both of them, not just Hayden. So I can't wait to see it, because they're starting to irk me. I was trying to give Gary a chance, and he's the same old Gary. All right, scene number 7, we're at Zach's house with Zach and Danni. Danni drops by, literally walks in without knocking. But Zach, why wasn't your door locked? I guess he feel like he live in a good neighborhood now. So I'm like, you said, oh, you just walk in, you don't knock, but why's your door unlocked? But anyway, Zach asked Danni what she's doing there. Danni briefly gets into like, hey, the legality of his come up, to say like, are you doing things illegal? But the real reason why she was there was to talk about Preston, and they get off into that, and she tells Zach that she's on to him, and she knows that Zach's been giving Preston advice and giving him bad advice at that. My opinion, I'm glad to see Zach and Danni again. I miss them. Like, I love their duo at the airport. I'm also glad that she came over to talk to Zach, because they did have that established friendship. And I agree, Zach was wrong for giving Preston bad advice that didn't even work for him, especially since he and Danni are supposed to be friends. So it's not that Zach can't have a relationship with Preston, but if you and Danni are supposed to be friends, don't give him the stuff that didn't even work for you. Like, give him some good advice. You know, since you and Fatima are thriving so much, give him what y'all are doing now. you know, and I feel like Zach kind of feels like he's trying to help Preston out, like the man-to-man thing, like don't be a wimp for a woman. And then he also feels like he's giving Danni tough love. So, you know, I don't think Zach was doing it maliciously, but he does need to chill out on the bad advice to Preston. I do think it's funny, though, and ironic, however, that Danni is so upset about Zach being in her business when she literally used to do the same thing. She used to be all up in Zach and Karen's relationship. She used to give Karen advice, whether it was good or bad. She used to excuse herself to Zach when he would be upset about it by being like, oh, well, it's your fault. You're never going to change, but you need to change and stuff like that. So it's just like, well, literally Danni's getting a taste of her own medicine. And I guess it doesn't taste good in her mouth. So whatever. They all need to just stop being in each other's relationships because it's the blind leading the blind. Like, everybody just needs to do what they feel is best. All right, let's move on to scene number 8. We're with Sabrina and Maurice at the bank. Y'all, okay, this is real brief. Sabrina and Maurice have an exchange about Maurice leaving and if Q would be at Maurice's house when he got home, and Sabrina tries to get in Maurice's business. Literally, that's it. I rolled my eyes so hard when I saw that Brookhaven Bank and Trust sign because, y'all, we spent enough time there last week. I'm not getting into that. Like, that whole scene was just unneeded and unnecessary. Like, they literally said enough last week to last three episodes. Like, we don't need to be at the bank. Scene number 9, we get back to Zach's house. He's finished showing Danni around, and they're coming down the stairs. At this point, it starts to take a turn for me because y'all know I like Danni. But it takes a turn. I'll tell you what happened, then I'll give my opinion if I can. So Danni brings up Karen's pregnancy. She tells Zach that she thinks the baby is Zach's, and Zach knows that too, but Zach dismisses her allegations because he shares that he knows that she was also sleeping with Aaron. Danni asks if Zach is really done, and once again, for the 50-11th time, brings up the closet incident at the salon. Zach lets Danni know that he is 1,000% done. And as she continues to try to pry into his relationship with Fatima, she gets shut down by Zach and on every corner. And Zach makes sure that he respects Fatima and shows that he loves Fatima and the things that he said. So my opinion, I feel like Danni really came off like a hater in this scene. And I know I'm not the only one because a lot of people said that on Twitter. And even though I'm a Fatima fan, I do understand Zach and Karen have had history of making up, breaking up, making up, breaking up. And Danni has been there through all of that. So I understand that Danni being a friend to Karen and her loyalty being to Karen, not to Fatima, she's trying to make sure, like, hey, are you done, like, for real, for real? Now, a lot of people had an issue with Danni even bringing up Karen since she just got done telling Karen, hey, let that go. He's not coming back. Let that go. But what I don't have a problem with that. I feel like Danni did the girl code thing. Like, she didn't say to Zach, hey, I've been telling Karen to let you go. Like, no, that's breaking the code. What she did as a girlfriend to Karen was, dude, I'm telling you from what I've seen, you need to let that go. But then as a friend, she went back and like, hey, I just need to make sure that this is really over. You know, and she didn't tell him why she was asking or anything like that. So that's not the part that I had a problem with. Y'all can let me know how y'all feel in the comments. What I had a problem with is Danni continuing to bring up that closet situation. It's like, this has to be like the 5th or 6th time, no exaggeration, that she's brought this up. Like, why is that so significant to you then? Like, did it mean something to you? Like, why do you keep bringing it up? Like, you could have just been like, y'all have a history of breaking up to make up. Like, you don't have to continue to highlight that one situation. Like, oh my gosh. And then I just felt like Danni is a prime example. Well, Tyler Perry used her character as a prime example in that situation. It's just like Maury. I don't know if y'all ever watched Maury, but it's just like people will be riding for their sister, daughter, friend, cousin, whatever. He is the father, he is the father, he is the father, and they end up being wrong. Like, stay out of these people's business because you're not in the bedroom with them. You don't know what they did. You weren't there. So why are you so invested? For her to come, what I had a problem with was her telling Zach, I think it's yours and you know it's yours, and her bringing up the closet scenario. Now, as a friend trying to make sure, you know, that her friend is right in moving on, I don't have a problem with that. because she doesn't have anything that she owes to Fatima. But girl, why you keep bringing that up and then you don't know that? Because Karen be doing a lot of stuff that she don't tell y'all, and y'all do a lot of stuff that you don't tell her. So that was my problem with Miss Danni this episode. It did come off like she was hating, because then Zach cracked her face when he told her, like, there's not going to be any more weakness with Karen because I got a woman that makes me feel strong. And you could see it all in her grill. And even Zach said that. So I was glad he cracked her face about Fatima, because it's like, okay, good. And she's like, oh, you're nauseating. Well, good. Go get well and mind your business. So, like, Daddy, I love you, girl, but you too much in the mix, and this ain't Zach and Karen anymore. Zach is not going to let you get up all in his relationship with Fatima like you were with Karen. Like, the same way you're telling Karen that Zach has changed, you need to actually realize that Zach has changed, and he's not operating with you the same way about his relationship that he used to. And as a friend, if y'all are really friends, you need to respect that and stop disrespecting his relationship. Moving on, y'all, I had to say my little piece about that. Scene 10, we're almost done. There were only 11 scenes. This will be quick because we were at Maurice's apartment with Maurice, Q, and Calvin. You already know. Maurice comes home. Calvin and Q are having dinner in his apartment. Then they have an exchange, and Maurice reluctantly sits down and to join them for dinner after insulting them both. Then Q randomly shares that he was molested repeatedly by his mother's boyfriend at a young age. And then the scene just abruptly cuts off. Like, literally. Now, usually I skip the commentary on these scenes, but I just need to say this. Of all the times that Maurice has insulted Calvin or Q, they deserved it this time. Especially Calvin, because, sir, how you gonna let somebody in Maurice's apartment that Maurice didn't want there? And he told you he didn't want them there. You're there on a wing and a prayer. Maurice don't need your money to live there. He had that place before you moved in, and I'm sure he can still afford his rent if you move out. Then Calvin was the number one person on the Q needs to get out of here train. And, oh, Maurice, I'm worried about you. And as a friend, I'm worried that you're falling in love with this dude. So what are you doing now? Like, how did Tyler Perry make his character just change his mind like that? And then it's just Q randomly bringing up that situation. Like, that's a very heavy thing to talk about. Like, why did he have him just bring it up like that? It's very random. Like, when Maurice told his story and his background, it was a build-up because Sabrina brought up his parents and his past. This was just like, y'all eating steak, and he's like, oh, hey, I used to get molested. And then literally the scene cuts off. Like, there was no follow-up. Calvin and Maurice didn't respond. I was just like, what? Y'all let me know in the comments what y'all think. All right, scene number 11, last scene. We're at the law firm with Zach, Andi, and Hayden, and Tyler Perry is so wrong for letting it end on this part, but we already knew that was going to happen. So Zach comes into the law firm looking for Fatima. Asks the secretary. The secretary's like, she's not in, and he's like, well, let me talk to Andi, and she's like, a minute. Andi comes literally around the corner, and Zach spots her. She was trying to get away, but he spots her and is like, hey, where's Fatima? Andi does try to lie, like, I had her running an errand, but Zach wasn't going for it. So as Andi is ushering him off to his office, she starts to say, like, I need to tell you something. And Zach is like, where is she? And then Hayden pops up out of nowhere, probably was stalking him the whole time because he's a stalker. It's like, Fatima's in jail. You know, that immediately riles Zach up because he knows that Hayden must have done something. Andy's trying to defuse the situation, keep Zach away. He's like, hey, you know he wants you to go back to jail. And then Hayden continues to taunt Zach, even calls Fatima out of her name. Zach turns around, runs around Andi, and tackles Hayden like the professional football player DeVal used to be. So, my opinion on the scene, I just feel like this is why it was hard for me to feel bad for Hayden for anything that Fatima has done for him, because his vendettas against Fatima and really against Zach are totally unwarranted. And I don't care if he and Fatima dated for one night, 1 year, 1 decade. You cannot, if someone is done with you, you cannot just decide that, no, you're not going to be done with me. I'm going to stalk you, threaten you, try to destroy you and your new partner. Like, no, you can't do that because you're bitter. Like, Hayden is unbearable. So I don't feel bad. So let's get into the preview, y'all, and I'm going to wrap this up. On the preview, and this is just what's at the end of the episode. I know BET shows another like 15-second clip after the fact. This is just what was on the episode at the end. Andi is telling someone, it doesn't show who it is, that Hayden had Fatima arrested. in my opinion, is probably Robin, because she said he was on the way and she might ask him for help. So I bet it's Robin. Next, it cuts to Zach beating Hayden up and down the stairs, and Andy's yelling at Zach to stop. My opinion, get him, Zach. I mean, once he initially put his hands on him, if he put his finger on Hayden, Hayden would have pressed charges. So you might as well beat the brakes off him when you done started. So good for you, Zach. Next, we see Calvin. He's saying that after hearing Q's story, it's okay with him for Q to stay. It's okay with him for Q to stay. And Maurice is like, don't speak for me. My opinion, I'm not getting into this again. You already know it's asinine to me, so I'm moving on. Danni next asks Preston what he's doing at her apartment, and Preston's like, I'm coming to get my things. My opinion is just like, okay, so here's the continuity issue again, because we're just gonna disregard the whole scene in this episode with them on the phone when he asked her to leave his stuff outside. He said he had a date later, so he was coming the next day, and that he was coming when she was not there. So it's just like, what was the point of that conversation? Like, okay, it is what it is. Next, Bio's on the phone with Sabrina asking when he can see her again, and she was like, I'm thinking the same thing. Great. Anyway, next, Karen is in Andy's office saying, what if Aaron is the father of her child? And Andy's like, Aaron is a good man. And in my opinion, I'm glad Karen finally said it out loud and admitted to herself and to someone else that that's a possibility. You know, that's progress. I mean, other than when she said it to Aaron. So that's progress for Karen. And good answer, Andi, because Aaron is a good man, and that's what you should be worried about anyway. You should be wanting it to be. We'll see how that conversation goes. But side note, Andi, you better not be telling Karen about Fatima and Hayden having Fatima arrested. I doubt if it was Karen, because Karen doesn't even know Hayden. I'm pretty sure she was talking to Robin. But once I saw that, I said, oh, Andi better have been talking to Robin and not Karen about Fatima's business. And then the last part of the preview, Danni and Sabrina are in that supermarket they always go to, when Danni notices two women following them. And it's like, okay, the women clearly look African, so I'm sure this has something to do with Bio. We still don't really care. Well, let me speak for myself. I don't care. So anyway, y'all, next week is season 4, episode 15, entitled We Know Enough. And the synopsis is Danni makes things clear for Preston where they stand in their relationship. We saw in the preview he's going to walk in the house, so I'm sure it'll be another dramatic exchange like they've had before. And we may not get a lot of other stuff answered. Whatever. Thank y'all so much for joining me. Sorry this is a longer one, but when I have a scene by scene, I do try to give a thorough job. Y'all let me know in the comments what y'all thought of this episode or any of my commentary. I really appreciate you all, and I will see you Monday for another Sisters content video. Hope you have a fabulous weekend. And if you're a fan of Martin, streaming on BET Plus is his 30th reunion special. I will be tuning in, and I may be posting a video about it. We'll see. Love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Bye.